I can do the live. If not, we might have to restart the connection. Depends if it lags or not. I don't think it's gonna lag. I think it's gonna be really cool. Awesome, so we are live. Just adjust it a little bit. Man, this looks pretty cool. Got some city behind me. Got some good shots here to get some show some guns. How are you guys doing? So we're doing a live Q&A here from Toronto, Canada. Happy to be on board. Show my beard a little bit to you guys, see what you guys are up to. It is a beautiful Sunday here, very, very sunny outside. And I wanted to pop in for a quick Q&A. I know you guys been asking for a lot of these. I did done one in Bulgaria, but this one is gonna be more personal, so we're gonna get down to fitness, nutrition, personal development, whatever you guys have questions on. Hello, London, and where you guys watching from? Leave me in the comments there. I can actually see your comments here. So hey, London, yeah, Stan has a really small biceps. Did diet for 30 days. Yeah, so leave your questions in. Hey, Portugal. Hey, LA. Hey, Lithuania. Hey, Russia. Hey, everybody. We're gonna get through a lot of questions, so we're gonna get to some of the stuff that I can go really personal for you guys. I want to get to like cover everything that you want to know related to fitness, training, if you want to lose weight, if you want to get shredded, if you want to like figure out what diet is right for you. We're gonna get down to it. We're gonna like break down that. We're gonna go into some of the books on habits, of course, here. Hey, Germany. Hey, Sweden. Awesome. We got yeah, we got a lot of people from all around the world. Great to have you guys here. And yeah, we're gonna start off. I'm gonna just go through the questions that you guys post in the comments, so make sure to leave your question in the comments below. Hello, Ohio, United States, and hello, Bulgaria. We got a lot of stuff here. All right, hello, Iceland, Calgary. Sweet, Auckland, New Zealand, awesome. Toronto, yeah, that's right there. You could be in that building, dude, like right here, like that's you, like you could have been watching from behind. Hey, Miami. Yo, Lithuania, awesome, guys. So yeah, leave the questions. Hey, Romania, hey, Hungary. So make sure to leave the questions in the comments, and I'm gonna get to those. I see a bunch of here about diet and about weight loss, about macros and all of that. So all right, so let me just check up on the question before. So so someone wants to try a protein sparing modified fast day. Do I still incorporate them in my diet? Yes, I do. I feel like protein sparing modified fasts are one of those things that you can do to really get that calorie deficit on just an easy 1 or 2 days a week, where you eat about 800 to 1,000 calories. You eat mainly protein and veggies. And for the rest of the week, it's just so much easier. So if you do 2 days of that, so just 2 days out of the week, you do 1,000 calories. For the other 5 days, you can eat very large amounts of calories and you don't even feel it. So it doesn't even feel like you're dieting. And because you're eating that protein there, you're sparing your muscle, so you're not losing any muscle. So that's a myth. Like 1 day of fasting is not gonna destroy your muscle. You're not gonna shrink all of a sudden because you started fasting. And it's a very easy way, because all those other days you just eat normal. You feel less hungry in that day when you do fasting. And it's also a good way to control your lean gaining diet, right? So on the lean gaining diet, as you get more and more advanced, what's happening is that you build muscle much slower, right? So you don't have that much of luxury to just eat a whole ton, you know, bulk mode, eat big, get big. It doesn't work like that as you get more and more advanced. And this is where the protein sparing modified fast helps, because 1 or 2 days out of the week, you just fast. You eat about 1,000 calories or 1 day of the week, and then you have more of those calories to put them on training days, and they're more likely to go toward building muscle. And it's really important to do this when you get really advanced. So guys that have been training 6-7 years, guys that have been close to that genetic ceiling, and to eke out those last final bits of gains, this is where fasting really helps, because then you can add those extra calories in the days that you really need them. So protein sparing modified fast, highly recommended. I did a video on it. So the day, basically you just eat veggies and protein. So you keep it really simple. You get about 2 grams per kilo, or about 1 gram per pound in protein. Everything else is just veggies. Mostly green stuff, low calorie stuff, like just to keep you full. You drink a lot of water. You try to stay basically busy as much as possible because you're eating only that low amount of food. You just kind of put the diet on the back burner and just work a lot that day, and you don't really feel it, and you're happy the next day because you feel a lot lighter. You just feel in general that you are focused for that day because you don't have to think about food, you just execute it, and it feels really, really good. So that's in terms of protein sparing modified fast. There's a lot of other things that you can say that it's beneficial for. I mean, general reduction in calories overall throughout the week is very, very beneficial for your health. And this is one problem with intermittent fasting and just general dieting, is that it's really hard to distinguish which one of those two is giving you results. So are you getting better health because you reduced calories, or are you getting better health because you did intermittent fasting? Well, in my opinion, it doesn't even matter, right? Because they kind of go hand in hand. And if you can do some fasting, I feel like it's a really good and easy way to stay in that deficit and also get those health benefits. They're most likely due to a calorie deficit, not because you're doing the fasting, right? So keep that in mind. And So we're gonna get to all the other questions. We got questions on protein. We got a lot of other questions here. Yeah, there's benefits to fasting like autophagy. Can it help with loose skin? I don't know. There's been a question here. So if you're looking to get rid of loose skin, I think that the only sure way to do that is surgery. Everything else is just based on your genetics, on your skin elasticity, on your age, and how you generally carry yourself through your lifestyle. Maybe that will improve over time. I've seen a lot of my clients that come back to me after 2 years, after they lost like 60, 70, 80 pounds. They come back after 2 years and it's actually gotten a lot better. They filled out, they built more muscle, they went on a lean gaining phase, so that helped a lot. The worst thing is like when you first diet down, if you have a bunch of loose skin on your lower abs, if you're a skinny dude, that's when it looks really bad. But as soon as you start getting more muscle on you, as soon as you start getting bigger, that also helps a lot. So training, making sure that you're getting your water intake, getting your those veggies, getting those fruits in, getting plenty of sleep, living sort of like a managed stress lifestyle, that helps a lot. I think this is very, very underestimated. People don't realize how important is how important it is to manage your stress while you're looking to build muscle and while you're looking to get rid of loose skin, while you're looking to lose weight. Stress is an absolute killer for all of these things, especially if you don't get your sleep, especially if you don't perform in the gym, especially if you're not on point in general with your productivity. Stress is going to absolutely kill you in all areas of your life. Nobody wants to hang out with a stressful person. You yourself just don't like the way you feel day to day, and it really crushes you in all areas of your life. So learning how to manage your stress through meditation, just being generally open-minded and having that attitude toward things where you're like, okay, that's the stuff I can control, this is the stuff I can't control. This is going to help you a lot in your life. This is not just fitness, this is not just nutrition, this is overall. It's really, really important to know how to manage that stress. So I'm going to get through more ordered questions, guys, so make sure to leave them in the comments below. I do tend to go on rants, and I do tend to give long-winded answers because I want to put in as much detail for you as possible. So bear with me here. It's going to take me a little bit to explain some of these things because I like to go in depth and looking through the research and the evidence of it. So let's get more questions in the comments, and I'll try to open them up as I go, and when something stands out, I'm just gonna answer it. But you guys definitely keep putting them in the comments because I will get to a lot of these. We still have about 50 minutes or so we can get through a lot of stuff today. So I wanna share with you guys this Q&A because I feel like when I make videos, I always make videos on very specific topics and I don't always get to cover everything you guys wanna know. So I feel like the Q&A once a week is a pretty cool way for me to get in touch with you guys and see what's going on. So will I be doing a collab with Owen from Real Social Dynamics? Yep, most likely, yes. Owen is a boss. Owen, aka RSD Tyler. So I'm going through all your questions. There's a bunch of stuff here. So give me a second. How to work out when you have a very charged schedule? That's actually a pretty interesting question. So how do you work out when you don't have the time? One thing I want to point out is that not having a time is really an excuse. It's a story you tell yourself that you don't have the time to do something, and if you believe that story, you will not be successful in your life. Like if you believe your own stories, the stories that your brain tells you, hey, I'm not like, I don't have the time, I don't feel like it, never gonna be successful. Instead of that, you wanna be solution oriented. This is one thing I learned in school. Like if there's one thing that I learned in my entire, like getting my master's degree in computing and being in engineering school and all of that, it's always be solution focused. So not looking at your emotions, how you feel, what do you think about it? No, universe rewards action. Universe only rewards solutions. So you want to be that solution-oriented guy who's like, okay, look, I have 45 minutes. Let me make the best out of it. 45 minutes per week. Fine, right? I'll do 2 workouts that last 20 minutes. I'll do a high-intensity interval training workout. I'll do a very short, high rep. I'm not going to take any rest. I'm just going to crush it. I'm going to take every set to failure. I'm going to really go at it with the maximum intensity in those 20 minutes. And that's going to get you much, much further than if you stay home, sit on your ass, watch Netflix, and expect that the world is going to hand you a good looking body, that the world is going to hand you a physique, that the world is going to like all of a sudden magically align itself so you can be successful and have a great looking body and get respect in your life. Universe only rewards action. Don't forget this, guys. Like if you're not taking action, it doesn't fucking matter what you think about it, how you feel about it, what you plan to do about it, what your goals are, what you're not thinking about. It does not matter. It only responds to what you're actually doing, right? So that's the fundamental of doing anything. It's being that action-oriented guy who's gonna figure the fucking solution, right? So being very resourceful is one of those things where you're figuring out the solution to that problem. So I'm not gonna beat around this too much, but I just wanna point out that not having the time is usually an excuse. Any schedule can be worked around with. I personally have coached 200 plus guys who are basically flying from city to city, like my buddy RSD Max, like my buddy Julian and all these guys. They're flying from city to city every single week of the year. So 52 weeks of the year, new city, new gym, new logistics, new apartment, running around all day working. These guys are making it happen. And when I was coaching these guys, and anytime someone else would come in and say like, oh, I don't have the time, I can't make it happen, lies. You're lying to yourself. You're not lying to me. You're not lying to anybody else. So I just want to point that out. I know there are schedules out there that don't allow any training. Those are really, really rare. Like really, really rare. There's always a chance to do something, whether it's at home. 1 rep is better than 0 reps. There's always a chance to train. There's always a train to work. There's always a way to work it out, right? Don't forget that. Let me check out some of the other stuff here. Hey, Kevin. Hey guys. Hey, Philip. Hey, Fernando. Hey. Awesome. Let me go through some of these more. So I'm going to check it out here. Macros when you are cutting. So do you guys want to know the 2-minute summary of all the macros for cutting? You guys want to know that? So 2 minutes and everything you need to know about macros. So it's like you can explain the macro dilemma in 2 minutes. That's basically it, right? So 2 minutes of macronutrient, like how to set up your diet for cutting. Number 1, the most important one is to figure out your protein immediately. 2 grams per kilo or gram per pound, you're good to go, right? Of your ideal weight. So ideal weight, 160 pounds, 160 grams of protein, done, good to go. Fat, somewhere around 25% of your calories come from fat, good to go, rest go to carbs. There you go, that's your macros, right? If you like more fat, go a little bit more fat, reduce a little bit more carbs, good to go. Find which ratio you can stick to, find which ratio you need for training, because if you are doing a lot of high intensity training, you probably need a little bit more carbs. If you're not doing that much training, like if you're just training 3 days a week in the gym, might as well go a little bit higher fat and low carb. There's nothing bad about that, right? Pretty much the entire thing you need to know about macros. It is not about a magical macronutrient ratio that does not fucking exist. Okay, so let's point that out. So the science is pretty clear. There's no magical macronutrient ratio that is gonna magically make you shredded, despite what the Instagram yoga girl wants you to believe. It doesn't exist, okay? So Certain people find it easier to stick with a deficit if they have the protein and a higher fat. Some people like the lower fat, higher carb. That's it, right? Personal preference at the end of the game. Of course, there's something out there if you're doing like MMA plus bodybuilding plus running a lot, then you probably are better off doing higher carb, right? You're probably better off doing higher carb because you just need that high intensity burst of activity, and carbs will provide more ATP per unit of time than fat. And that's a scientific fact that you cannot argue with that, right? So there's a lot of people say, okay, you're not fat adapted. Actually, that's been studied. So there's studies that if you go keto, if you go low carb, like really, really low carb, ketogenic, you will adapt really fast. So it's not like a long term that it takes like 6 months to adapt. You adapt pretty quickly. And there's been more and more research coming out saying that, okay, if you're doing MMA, if you're doing these bursts of high intensity activity where you need to sprint, where you need to do something that is a longer duration, high intensity activity, you're not gonna be benefiting from that low carb ketogenic state. That just does not work. I mean, that's been tested. There's been randomized controlled trials. They just compare group 1, group 2, and just the group doesn't perform. Like, it's not that I'm inventing this. This is what the data says. And smart people and coaches and everybody will basically point you to the data and look, this is the fact. Like, we're not inventing shit here, right? So keep that in mind, guys, right? So we always want to look at the science. We don't want to look at how someone feels about it, you know, like whether you like it, whether you hate it. Look, data over emotions, guys. Like, that's my ultimate slogan, data over emotions. Like, I don't give a fuck how you feel about it. Data says this, the data is accurate. It's been tested, it's been controlled by multiple studies, so you can argue with the researcher, right? And this approach allows you to make really, really good decisions. So when you have the information, when you have the data, you can make really, really good decisions, and you can find something that will work based on probability, that is gonna work better than what you think it will work, right? So when I have a hypothesis, I go to research studies, and I do look at, okay, what does the research say about my hypothesis? So if my hypothesis is that, let's say I can diet down, and I can diet down with only 10% of my calories coming from fat. So let's say my hypothesis that that's the best diet. I go into the research studies and I see what are the consequences of dropping my fat below 15%. And I look at the studies and they say, look, hormonal issues, poor satiety, probably like reduced brain function, all these other things starting to get effect, health issues, like after doing it for like multiple weeks. And it tells me, look, this has been tested. Someone already made the mistake. I'm not gonna make the same mistake. And then I take back my hypothesis and I just add more fat and I make it work based on the data. That's really what science is about. That's the approach that I advocate. This is the approach that I take with everybody that I work with. And this is the approach that has to be taken into account. And I'm not questioning that you can get results with keto, that you can get the results with low carb, high carb. Sure, you can get results with any kind of diet. Like there's a diet, you know, you just eat bananas, right? Can you lose weight with just eating bananas? Hell yeah, right? Like, you can lose weight with anything if you're in a calorie deficit. No doubt about it. Like, you just go in a calorie deficit, you eat bananas all day, you eat, like, you don't have to eat anything. That's probably the best diet to lose weight, right? Don't eat anything. And that's really the case, right? So you can get results with anything. Like, I know guys that get results with vegan, vegetarian, paleo, high carb, low carb, bodybuilding, bro diet, chicken, broccoli, rice diet, sweet potato diet. At the end of the day, calories and macros will get you the result, but how you feel day to day, that will vary from person to person. So some people feel much better doing a paleo, minimal processed food kind of diet, or keto. They feel no hunger whatsoever, while other people feel really, really good when they do a vegetarian, vegan kind of diet where they just avoid meat products. Maybe someone is bothered by dairy, right? So there's a lot of things like that. So I don't want to get into those debates which go beyond the data, because that's where, like, a lot of people, when you say vegan, you know, like, ooh, you know, like, it's already like a debate of moral issues. That's totally fine. Like, that's not what I'm looking at here. I'm looking at the data. right? So the data, randomized controlled trials, this is up for debate, and there's more and more studies coming out. So we know much and much more about the diet. We know much more about the longest living people. We know much more about the genetics. And one day, my prediction is that we're gonna have a DNA test as little kids. So you basically, I don't know, you just get born and you go through the like first 6 months to a year. Someone does a DNA test on you. They see exactly what your profile is, and they base your diet for the rest of your life. You know what the best diet for you is based on your genetics. So that's the ultimate approach. We're not there yet, so we don't know so much about the nutrition yet, but we are getting to that point. So in, let's say, 3 decades from now, we're probably gonna know enough to be able to base, like my kids, your kids will probably know enough based on their DNA to be able to make diet choices. We are not there yet. Like there's a few, I'm just gonna share this with you guys. I'm gonna go to the other question. So I did a DNA test myself. I went into my DNA. I looked at my source code for all you guys that are doing coding. So I did look at my DNA, and I found a few things that were useful. For example, for me personally, I will benefit from a higher intake of vitamin D because it seems like my body doesn't absorb vitamin D as well, right? And there's other things like this in these tests that, I mean, they're not really useful, but there's a few hints that in the future they will start becoming more useful, and you will be able to just prescribe nutrition recommendations. Do you need to eat more cheese? You need to eat less cheese? You need to avoid dairy? You need to eat dairy? You need to eat this or that? So it's really important. So considering that genetic predisposition for me to have vitamin D deficiency, plus my lifestyle, let's say I'm spending most of my day indoors and I'm not going out, and I'm working a lot and it's winter and I have rain outside, there's no sun, I need to take 5,000, 6,000 IU of vitamin D. Otherwise, I'm gonna start getting depressed. I'm gonna start getting these negative effects of low vitamin D, right? So this is important, guys. This is where it comes down to. So you wanna combine the data and also your personal experience, because I know that I get depressed if I don't do this, right? So let me go through the comments. As I said, you know, some of the answers will go on tangents. Some of the stuff I'm gonna go deeper in. So if you guys are okay with that, I mean, I can also just give you a quick burst of answers, but I can't create the context that is often necessary to give you guys the right information so you actually learn and you know how to deal with debates online. Because often, for example, if you say something, you go to Facebook or somewhere else, someone tells you something else, and it's like this conflict of information. So it's really good to know the nuance and be able to go deeper and deeper and understand the underlying principle better than the other person, so you actually are immune to all kinds of bullshit out there, which is people trying to sell you programs, people are trying to get you into like some kind of cult or whatever the hell, you know, like a diet cult approach. So yeah, please don't write in languages that I can't read. Like English would be preferred, or German or Croatian. Other languages I don't really know. Cool. So I'm gonna go through other questions that you guys have. So let me go through some of this stuff here. There's a question here: are there any new scientific studies about NoFap? Actually, there has not been, and it's not surprising, dude. Like, I mean, who wants to study guys and masturbation? You know, what's the, you know, like, logically think about it. Who would want to know what happens if you don't masturbate? Like, what, I mean, what group of researchers will just start cashing out and making it rain to study whether you should masturbate or not? Like, think about that for a second, you know, like, unless Elon Musk is convinced that he should invest in NoFap and figure out if NoFap works, and he just cashes out like 100K to figure that shit out, it's not gonna happen, okay? So when it comes to NoFap, when it comes to this kind of stuff, try it out yourself and see if it works for you or not, right? You don't need a scientific study on that. You can do something called N=1, like you're your own experiment. Just don't masturbate for a while, don't watch porn, and see how you respond, okay? So I'm not gonna fund any research studies on NoFap anytime soon. I don't plan. Do I drink diet soda? I'm actually not a big fan of diet soda because they have a lot of caffeine, and I personally don't drink a lot of coffee. I do mainly tea, and if I drink more coffee, I find that I get a really massive spike in energy, but I had a huge crash afterwards. I'm a fast metabolizer of caffeine, so I have a really hard time if I drink coffee. Like any kind of caffeinated drink, just get a huge spike. I feel like incredibly energized, but then I have a huge crash and I feel like shit afterwards. So I try not to do too much caffeine. So I get most of my caffeine comes from dark chocolate and tea. So those are the two sources. So I'm gonna have a cup of tea per day, and I'm gonna have a couple of bites of raw chocolate, which kind of covers most of the caffeine needs, because caffeine actually does have some health benefits. So it's not that you should avoid caffeine at any cost, right? So there are benefits to that. Cool. So let me go through some of the more questions. I see there's a bunch here that's been gathered. So best teen bodybuilding advice. Best teen bodybuilding advice is don't try to become fucking shredded. That's the best piece of advice I can give you as a teen. Eat a lot, go to the gym, lift a lot. Don't buy into this bullshit on Instagram to get shredded and stay shredded all year round. The worst thing you can do as someone who is still growing is not give your body enough calories. That is an absolute nightmare for your body. You should not do that, and you're actually risking a lot of things in your health. I see this nonsense being perpetuated over social media all the time. Guys that are older guys in their 30s and guys that are taking drugs on Instagram, they're telling young kids to go and lift weights and try to get shredded. Right? So the kids are eating like 1,000 calories a day in hopes to get abs and stay ripped all year round, while they should be eating, enjoying life, and building muscle and getting stronger and just growing overall, right? So don't fall in this trap. Like, do not fall for this bullshit. Don't buy any fucking ridiculous programs to get shredded. Go out there, lift heavy weights, get stronger, eat healthy food, eat plenty of protein, drink water, get plenty of sleep, and socialize, right? Don't be a gym rat if you're like 14. Like that's not a good idea, okay? Let me see here. There's a few other questions. Can aromatized tea cut the benefits of intermittent fasting? No, man. Like, don't worry about that. That's really overthinking it. Like, you're making like a big deal out of something that doesn't really matter. What's my view on testosterone? I don't really know what you mean by view on testosterone. Testosterone within natural levels does not impact muscle growth whatsoever. Almost like there's no difference whatsoever. It does impact how you feel day to day. So if you have low testosterone, it makes you feel more depressed and more toward those kind of emotions where you're not really driven and motivated. So that can be a big issue. Other than that, within natural limits, there's no problems whatsoever, or there's actually no benefit from getting, let's say, a little bit more testosterone, like a testosterone booster or something like that. It makes no impact. It's largely a waste of money. So don't do any of that, right? So there's just no need for it. Change your lifestyle. Eat plenty of healthy fats. Make sure you get plenty of sleep. Get a horny girlfriend, right? So don't like skip on that. If you don't have a girlfriend, make sure you have a really good Tinder picture, and that's why you're here on this channel, to get shredded, so you can get more Tinder matches, so you can get laid, and then you can actually get some like testosterone boost. But other than that, like, don't worry about it, okay? Like, get your game together. Like, check out my buddy RSD Max. Okay, less volume for less manageable hunger on calorie deficit. I don't actually know what that means. So when you ask a question, like, try to figure out like, what's the context. let me check out some. Are fat loss plateaus real? Absolutely. Absolutely. So guys, anytime you lose fat, so every time you reduce weight in general, there's a point where your body has adapted enough to the calorie deficit that you have. So let's say you start off with 2,500 calories and you're losing fat. You go down and you lost 10 pounds, 10 pounds, 10 pounds. At this point, your metabolism has adapted enough So the cutting is no longer at 2,500 calories. So you actually bring down the calories to 2,000, and then you continue losing, right? So the process of adapting, your metabolism adapts, but also just the fact that you've lost a bunch of weight makes you adapted to a certain calorie level, right? So less mass to move around, you just burn less calories overall. And generally you slow down. Like everything in your systems are slowing down because they're adapting to that lower calorie intake. So when you get severely low on calories, like 1,800, it's like in bodybuilding, in like preparing for a bodybuilding show, like a natural bodybuilding show, they call that digging, right? So you start a digging phase. Like it's really hard. You have to fight for every little gram of fat that comes off. It's really difficult. It's really hard. And by that point, you should have already been completely lean. And yes, the plateaus are real. When you hit a plateau, here's one important thing that I want to point out, guys. So this is very, very important when you're talking about fat loss plateaus. It's important to know a difference between a real plateau and a fake plateau. So here's what a fake plateau is. A fake weight loss plateau is, let's say you're losing a pound per week. So let's say you're 168, 167, 166, 165, 164, and then it's like 164 again, or 164.1, right? So you've been losing a pound per week steady, and all of a sudden it's like not going anywhere. That's a fake plateau. That's usually due to water retention. That's usually due to some other factor outside of the gym. Maybe you got more stressed out. Maybe you tried different foods that week, so you retain more water, or that fat loss was masked. Because it doesn't go like pound, 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 nothing. That's a fake weight loss plateau. A real weight loss plateau is a gradual slowdown of fat loss. So you're not losing fat for 3-4 weeks. So basically there's no change in weight on a weekly basis for 3 to 4 weeks. That's when you know that you're in a real plateau. And at that point, it's about adjusting the calories. It's about introducing more activity. It's about looking at your habits. Are you walking enough? Are you sleeping enough? How's your gym routine? Maybe instead of more cardio, you can add more sets in the gym. Maybe you can eat less. Maybe you eat more protein to keep yourself full and eat less carbs and fats. There's many adjustments that you can make, but first figure out whether you're in a legit plateau or not. Because if you're not in a plateau, and you start making these rapid adjustments, which a lot of guys make a mistake and they just do that, what happens is that you adjust your diet at a point where the diet was still working, and then you adapt faster to lower calories and makes your diet much harder. So this is where the guys start binging. This is where guys start falling apart. You know, it's so hard to maintain the diet. It's really difficult. I mean, the difference between 2,200 calories and let's say 1,700 calories is massive difference. It seems like it's just not a big difference just looking at the food that you can eat, but just that one extra meal, just that a little bit extra food that you can eat just makes the world of difference when you're hungry, when you're not hungry. So first diagnose whether you're in a real plateau so you don't make the mistake, right? So when you diagnose, okay, I'm in a real plateau, then apply the methods that I've just told you, and there's other methods as well. But at the end of the day, it's going to have to be a shift in the energy balance because you've reached new equilibrium. So there's a new energy balance and you're pretty much stable, right? So keep that in mind, guys, right? Don't make this mistake. I see guys make this mistake all the time, ends up in binging, ends up in a lot of guilt. It ends up in a really bad feeling about fat loss in general, and guys never want to diet again because they fucked up. Don't do that, all right? So really diagnose it properly, and I'm gonna go back to my slogan, data over emotion. Data over emotion, guys. Always look at it from a standpoint of data. It's all about tracking. It's not about how you feel about it. It's actually about getting down to the numbers and seeing what's going on, okay? Let me see, there's a couple of more questions here. So provide tips for hard gainers. Look, if you're a hard gainer, it's twofold. It's both training and nutrition. I know a lot of hard gainers and guys that have a really hard time gaining mass. They always think it's about, oh, I'm not eating enough. That's one part of the equation. You're not eating enough, sure, right? you need to eat more calories, right? That's one part of it. The second part of it that I've noticed with a lot of hard gainers, and this is a big mistake they make, is they neglect training. In return, if you're not training, that actually makes you less hungry. So you're not putting a demand on your body to eat more, and then you have to eat more and you're just not doing anything and you just feel bad about that. And that's one thing that you want to tackle it from both directions. You want to have a really good training program that is not super like crazy out there with cardio, that is something based on strength training, something based on bodybuilding where you do plenty of reps and sets and volume to get big. But you also want to make sure that you have the diet side of things handled, and also lifestyle, sleep, and habits, and not think about this as something that you're going to do short term. Think about this from a standpoint of, how can I make eating more and training more and doing this thing a lifestyle? You know, how can I take these things and make it into a habit, instead of trying to do this for 2 months and then like doing it with willpower, or just trying to like bust through it. And then what's going to happen? After 2 months, you're going to hit a wall, and then you're going to give up. And because it's not a habit, you haven't worked on actually figuring out how can you make this sustainable, you're not going to get results long term. And guess what? If you're a hard gainer, if you've been having this problem for 20 years, 2 months is not going to cut it. This is a process that's probably going to take you 6 months or so to actually get into habits, to get into that lifestyle, to start eating more naturally, to start like just getting that feeling that you need to eat more. It takes a while for those signals to kick in. There's other hacks. I made tons of videos on them. There's actually playlists on my channel. If you go to the playlist, you can see. But at the end of the day, it's about you making this a lifestyle of eating more and training more. So to get big, you gotta train, right? The food is not gonna make you big. It's just gonna make you fat. It's gonna make you fat. Like just piling on a bunch of food, eating junk, treating your body like shit, like I see a lot of hard gainers do. They just go out of their way and go to McDonald's, KFC, and like Taco Bell and just eat crap all day, expecting that they're gonna build muscle, expecting that they're gonna look better. You're gonna feel like shit, you're gonna look like shit, and you're gonna hate yourself. Eat right, train right, and treat your body like a temple. Regardless whether you're a hard gainer, non-hard gainer, whatever happens, healthy dieting is non-negotiable. Right? Have that 10-15% where you eat that processed food, but 90% of the time, eat healthy. Treat your body right. If you're expecting your body to look healthy, to be healthy, and you're expecting your mind to function properly, to have the energy, to have the focus, to have the happiness, just to feel good about yourself. You know, like you walk out of the bed, you want to be at 110% from the moment you get out of bed to the moment that you go to bed. Right? That's the type of lifestyle that you want to lead. And it doesn't matter what you actually eat and how you look if you can't get that. Your day-to-day happiness is more important than how big your bicep is. Although, I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool. It has to have both. It has to have both, guys, okay? Cool. All right, so I'm gonna get into more questions. Give me a second here. We have plenty of time, guys. So make sure to leave still any questions that you have in the comments. We have plenty of time. We're gonna get to them. We're gonna get to these. Is it okay to stay in 20 to 25% body fat if you truly don't care about aesthetics or health, but only strength? I mean, I personally would suggest every guy to stay in a range of about 12 to 17% body fat, not in the high 20s. Maybe if you're a really young guy, like 20 to 24, or like 18 to 24, it's okay to be 20 plus body fat percentage, you know, because there's really no risk for your health at that point. But I would say if you're above 25, you're a guy who's interested in just general health plus, you're interested in being very strong, anywhere around like 16-17% body fat, or like about 18-20, like up to 20 should be fine. So don't go above 20% body fat. There's really no reason to do that. I mean, of course, if you're a powerlifter, if you're competing in the super heavy and you gotta like have mass to move mass, totally fine. But if you're just a casual lifter and if you're just lifting in the gym and you just want to be strong, I mean, I don't really see. I mean, it's just you're compensating for lack of strength just by getting fat. You know, like honestly, you know, like think about that, right? You're just kind of compensating for that, and why not just get strong, right? Have a good training plan, get stronger, and just work with that. Most guys are not happy when they get in the range of 25% body fat. You know, it just makes you sluggish. It just makes you like very, very unmotivated. You know, you also look like shit. You avoid taking photos. You know, it's it's just not a good place to be in, to be honest. Like I try to suggest all the guys, even if for those guys that don't care about the six pack, I usually suggest like don't go over 20% body fat. You know, try to stay lower. Let me see here. Yeah, there's a bunch of other questions. So guys, just make sure to leave them below. I'm looking at what are some of the best ones. What's the best way to calculate your maintenance calories? I made a really in-depth video on that. So calculate your maintenance plus Mario Atomic in YouTube. Search for that. You're gonna find it. You're gonna love it. It's a two-step process. There's two methods. I don't want to take people's time now because you've definitely missed out on that video. It's really in-depth. I filmed that in Mexico about 9 months ago. I still remember the video where I filmed that, and the spot where I filmed it. You're gonna love it. Make sure to check that video out. It has a step-by-step process, and you can just start applying that for yourself right now. So definitely go check that out. Calculating your maintenance calories is really important to set up your diet for success, whether it's lean gaining, whether it's losing fat, whatever it is critical. It's the step one, right? So maintenance is step one. Once you know your maintenance, it's easy to work from there. So that's your foundation for building a diet. So definitely check out that video. Let me see here.
Is it done?
We got about 20 minutes or so. Barbell press versus dumbbell press. Is one better than the other? Can I rely on one and not the other? You know, if you're if you're looking to maximize your gains, you're probably better off with sticking to a barbell movement from a standpoint of just potential for increments, potential to add weight and plates to the side. So a lot of guys make this mistake, is that switching to dumbbells, it gets really hard to get into a proper position once you get relatively strong. So once your dumbbells are above 80 pounds each, you start getting into all kinds of problems in the gym, and it starts becoming less safe. Also, just to get to that point, about 80 pounds, what happens with the dumbbells in a lot of gyms, and you guys can let me know if that's true for your gym, is that the dumbbell goes in increments of 5 pounds, right? So each side goes up by 5 pounds when you switch to the next dumbbell. With the barbell, every gym that I've been to, I've never been in a gym that has more than, like, the minimum increment that would be more than 5 pounds. So it makes it easy to go from 160 to 165, 165 to 70, 170 to 175, 175 to 180. So you have less of a jump between the workouts, so you still have plenty of time to recover and get stronger. Because what you're really doing in a training session, here's what's happening, guys, right? So let's say your target reps are 8, and you do 8 reps on the bench, right? So you knock out 8 reps. Next time, up until that point, you've gotten a little bit stronger. So if you try to amp up the weight by 10 pounds, you know, it's just too much. Maybe you've gotten strong by 5 pounds, and then you're gonna fail the lift next time. And then you're gonna be thinking, well, shit, I hit a plateau. And you're also kind of trying to just rush progress, which is not a good idea in general in the gym, because you could have just gotten 5 pounds up, and then another 5 pounds up, and another 5 pounds up, and in a month you would have gotten much more progress than if you hit a wall, you failed, you got to take a step back, you failed again, and then you got to take a step back. It just doesn't allow you for as much progression potential. And that's the most important thing in exercise selection, in my opinion, is number one, having the exercise stimulate the muscle, the target muscle group, really well, and bench is really solid and proven over time, whether dumbbell or barbell. But then the second thing that is really important is that progression potential. Are you demanding too much from your body from workout to workout? Now, here's a hack that you guys can use to bypass this problem. So the problem with the dumbbells being too heavy. So here's a hack. So the hack to weight is buying a small magnetic plates. You can get them off of Amazon. So they're magnets, and you can magnet a pound on each side, right? So on a dumbbell, you can just put a magnet and it goes up by a pound, which makes it better. The second thing, getting into the position, it's really difficult to hack this, but there are ways guys fail to get into a position. So one way in the bench press to fail in a dumbbell bench press is if you do this and you go back like this and you try to push the rep. So as you're going down in a dumbbell bench press, try to keep your arms as straight as possible as you're getting into the position and keep your scapula retracted. Even then it's going to be risky. But at least this point, when the arm is almost completely straight, you can just lock it out and start the set from there. So you don't want to start the set from bottom, because that's going to be risky when you're coming into that position and you're trying to get out of there, and especially if the weight is really heavy. It can be really bad on your shoulders, especially if you overextend and if your shoulders are not flexible, if they're not mobile. So a barbell all the way from the progression potential to the technique and to the stimulation all the way, right? You can combine both, because the dumbbell, again, if you do 15 rep plus sets, there's more room to progress there. Cool. Let me get through some of your more questions here. The low carb diets are really overrated. Actually, no. Low carb diets are really good. Here's the context, guys. So low carb diets are actually awesome. You know what it does? Low carb diets, well, the first, it's meant for a person who's generally sedentary, right? So you guys lift weights, right? You guys are watching this channel, you're watching me, you lift weights, you're active, you're doing stuff. But imagine someone who is like a school teacher. They spend most of their time like working, and they're on their feet a little bit. They don't really want to lift weights. They don't have the time for it. They live a very stressful lifestyle. Going low carb for them, because they don't really need that carb energy, they don't really do any kind of high intensity activity, it's totally fine. Maybe it allows them to stick to that lifestyle easier and be in a deficit. They cut out the carbs and they lose a bunch of water weight in the first few weeks. It motivates them to stick with it, and it works, right? One problem that I have with low carb for those specific type of situations is that it doesn't educate people why it worked. So what happens is that when people are going out of a low carb diet, they just put on carbs on top of everything that they've been eating before, and then now they regain a whole bunch of water weight and also weight in general. So if you educate people and tell them, look, the low carb works, but it works because you were in a calorie deficit, it's going to tell them, well, if I keep adding these calories in there, I'm going to spill over with my calories, I'm going to gain fat. So low carb works, but know why it works, right? So when you know why it works, you can budget the calories, so you're not going to mess up your diet long term. Because the diet, and this is important, guys, so I'm going to end this question at this point, and I'm going to get to a couple of more. So the most important question that you want to ask yourself when you're starting on a new lifestyle, when you're starting a new diet, when you're starting a new training plan, does it pass the sustainability test? The sustainability test is a question. It's one single question. Is, can I be doing this for the rest of my life? So can I do this, what I've been doing so far, for the rest of my life? If the answer is no, that is not a sustainable lifestyle for you. That is probably not the thing that you should be doing. All right, guys? So keep that in mind. So sustainability is the absolute key when we're talking about weight loss, fat loss, if you're going from unhealthy to healthy body fat percentage. For guys that want to get shredded and want to stay shredded, that's a completely different story. But even there, the sustainability test is important, because the sustainability test for those guys that want to get completely shredded and just want to get ripped abs, you want to ask yourself, can I stay lean all year round without having health issues and without, without sacrificing my social life, without sacrificing my strength in the gym, without sacrificing a lot of other things. So sustainability test is really, really important, because it goes both ways, right? Hey, Poland, greetings, guys. What are your thoughts on hallucinogens? Hallucinogens? No, I don't do any LSD, dude. What is the best angle for incline? I mean, a 30% angle is totally fine. Is lack of sleep can struggle during bulking and cutting? Yes. Being on a deficit, a hardcore calorie deficit, can actually mess up your sleep pretty badly. And it takes some time to get used to it. And that lack of sleep overall will make you burn less fat and lose more muscle on a cut. And when you're bulking, when you're trying to gain muscle, you're gonna gain half the muscle and twice as much fat if you're not sleeping enough. Sleep is like the thing that can like double your results. Like if you not get enough sleep, basically you're getting half the results that you could be getting. And most guys don't know this. Like most guys are totally like, they have no clue how much sleep plays a role. You know, like you do a really hard workout. I'm gonna give you guys some context. So let's say I go and do a hard workout. So I've been lifting for 7 years. I go to the gym and I do a really, really hard workout and I get the stimulants to grow, right? I get a really small stimulants because I've been lifting for such a long time. The muscle is resilient to growth because it's close to their genetic potential, right? If I don't sleep that night and the night afterwards, I've not only completely destroyed the effect from that single workout, I've actually lost muscle. And I probably gained fat. Like that's how bad it is for someone who's really, really advanced. Because that stimulants that I got lasts only for a few hours. And if I mess that up with bad sleep, and if I mess that up with being overly stressed out and not getting my diet right, I could have totally missed the opportunity to build muscle in that window, because the window does shorten. Muscle protein synthesis for very, very advanced athletes does not last even up to 24 hours. It's more like 12 hours or less. So if you do a workout at 8 in the night, you got 12 hours, man. Like if you messed up, if you screwed up, you're just not getting the results. And most guys don't realize this. You know, most guys don't realize how hard it gets after a while. So it's important as more advanced you get, the fundamental stuff is really critical. And then you get into nutrient timing, then you get into all these other things. And it's really, really key, guys. So even for beginners, even more important, right? Awesome, Andrew. Really appreciate it, man. You lost 60 kilos. That's insane. That's 135 pounds lost. That's a life-changing. That's amazing, man. I really, really appreciate your support here, and I'm happy that my channel was a part of your journey. I mean, that's really what this is all about. It's about being a part of your journey and helping you out. So I really appreciate that. Okay, this is a cool question here, and I'm gonna get a few. 45 pounds lost, Nikon XXX. Awesome, awesome, love it. Really, really awesome, dude. Please give advice. What is the best thing we can do after a cheat meal? This is actually a conversation I had with a client today about a cheat meal situation. He had a 5,000 calorie cheat meal, right? So it was a binge, right? And this happened last Thursday. So he was feeling really bad. He was feeling really, really guilty about it. And he messaged me the next day and he's like, dude, I feel terrible. We had him, he is really cut now and he's getting to losing that last 5-6 pounds. So this cheat meal, like this one binge, he felt really bad about it because he felt like it just set him back for a couple of weeks, and we've been working really hard on getting him really lean. So there's a few things to do about this, right? The first thing, I'm gonna go back to the data over emotion. So that's the first thing. So when you binge, when you eat a cheat meal, when you eat 5,000 extra calories, data over emotion. So don't, the faster you can dissipate that emotional charge of the situation, like feeling bad, you know, judging yourself, thinking you're a piece of shit or that you're a worthless human being because you ate a little bit more, the better you're off. So that's the first thing. That's the first step. Like, just move away from the emotion and move toward like solution. So what can I do right now? What is in my control? What is in my power? So here's what I suggested for him. There's 2 ways and 2 things you can learn from this. Number 1, you can consider this as borrowing. So you can consider the binge, the extra 3,000 calories on top of maintenance, as you borrowed calories from other days of the week, and you will then eat less of those calories for the next few days, and it's going to even out on top of the week. So that's the first thing in terms of your toolbox, that you can just get that tool out and just use that. It's borrowing calories, right? The second thing and that I want to point out here is that cheat meal and that binge is going to even itself out in about 7 days. You're not even going to feel it. Yeah, you're not even going to feel it. Like, it's just going to disappear. It's like it's never happened. It's really interesting, right? So 7 days from now, you're going to be thinking back is like, why the hell was I so upset about it? And because your body has so much momentum with a calorie deficit, it has so much momentum if you've been losing fat for a while, that momentum will just carry you through, and you're just going to lose all that extra that you've gained. And what you've gained is mainly water weight and not fat, just to point that out. And it's going to go back to the weight that you were before. So it's not real fat gain that you've stored, right? So that's really important to point out. So you didn't actually lose any progress. Now, if you put it even better context, like if you get it down to the numbers, at most, maybe you've gained like half a pound of fat. Like at most. That's like 3-4 days of dieting, right? That's 3-4 days back on the plan. So it's really not a big deal. Like, it's not the end of the world. What I always say to my clients, and what my philosophy is, that one salad is not going to make you shredded, as one cheat meal is not going to make you fat. That person that's walking around in the street 300 pounds, they didn't get there by one cheat meal. Right? That person that is walking around shredded, that person that has a clearly visible six-pack, that is in really awesome shape, they didn't get there by eating a protein salad one time and going to the gym once. It is a process. What you see is a result of a process. So one single event doesn't really count. It doesn't matter as much. So your job is to get back on the process as soon as possible, because that process is what's going to get you the result. So don't get bogged down by one single event. Think about everything that you have. I mean, that right now is a result of years of habits that you've done before. And if you want to change that, it again takes more time and more reps for that process to materialize as a form of a result. So keep that in mind, right? Don't judge yourself because the process, for some reason, you kind of failed, one moment, you slipped up a little bit. So it's really not a big deal. Like, detach yourself from that, and you're going to be totally fine. And honestly, over the years of working with so many people and being in this situation myself, you kind of like stop listening to the bullshit story that this guy here is telling you. Like this guy here, like what you say to yourself is like, oh, I suck, the diet is over, I really fucked up, I feel bad about this. Over the years, you just stop listening to this bullshit because you know what the reality is. You've gone through the process, you just know what it is, and you're just so confident about it. So really don't trust your own bullshit mind, okay? I know it sounds a little bit weird to say, but that's really what it comes down to. Like, sometimes the mind will want to sabotage you, and it kind of sucks because that's also a learned behavior, and it takes a while for that just to go away so you can actually become successful. Like, you're kind of limiting yourself, right? Like, you're your own enemy in this situation. So the faster you can get out of that and get back to your busy lifestyle, to your process, the better. Okay, let me... yeah, sure. I might actually put this one as a video as well. So I'll try to put it as a video. Hey Josh and Kyle, Colossus Fitness. Awesome. There's a question here. Why did I stop uploading as frequently as I did? It's actually because I got a lot more client work. So my main focus is serving clients. So I did a lot of YouTube stuff for a long time. But then I just got, I started getting this conflict between how many online clients can I take and how many people can I help directly, working with them personally in videos. And I felt like I was helping, like I had to make a choice whether to continue doing daily videos or whether to start helping people more and more and getting more people on board. And I just decided to do this for a while because I feel like I can help people a lot when I work with them personally. We have sick results, and it's just been for me, it's another source of pleasure, and I try get back to the videos as much as possible. So I'll be uploading. My goal now is to get into a solid uploading frequency of maybe 2 to 3 times per week, and maybe do one Q&A like this per week. If you guys like this, you guys can let me know if you like this format. I have no clue. I mean, for me personally, I just turned it on, and it feels like it's really easy to do because it's my phone and I can just talk to it, and I don't need to set up the camera. I don't need to edit so much. So you guys let me know if this is okay for you as a format, and if it's not, then I'll just do regular videos. But yeah, guys, so that's about it in terms of the questions. I'm happy that we got through a lot of stuff, and I want to thank you guys for all the support. Thank you for being here. And definitely, if you're not subscribed to get notifications from the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe plus get the notification, to make sure that you can get the upcoming videos, because I plan to release a few of them coming up. And yeah, if you're not on Instagram, I actually do a bunch of stories on Instagram, and I put out a lot of my day-to-day stuff, like book recommendations, my daily hustle, life here in Toronto. You know, like there's a lot of things when I travel, and I put all of that on Instagram. So if you're not following there, you can, if you're interested in that stuff, of course, you can follow there. But if you're not, I mean, you can just stay on YouTube. It's fine. And I'll catch you guys soon. And yeah, we got a solid hour in. And yeah, as I said, you know, I appreciate you guys' support here. And I'll check you soon. So let me see how I can end this and save it so I don't lose it. And then I'll upload it for you guys. And I'll check you soon. Okay.